All right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Savannah and the Charles H. Morris Center. I'm Ginny's dad, Tom Sanderlin. And this is a day that I will never forget. Ginny is such a beautiful bride. Anne always likes to remind me that Ginny was beautiful from the very earliest days, though. We have been so honored to raise her and watch her grow just a little taller every year. And coming along, Ginny was a great, great student and independent, so independent from an early age. Smart for sure. In 2004, she began her freshman year at the University of Georgia. I was so excited for Ginny and Daniela. They were rooming together at Brumby Hall their freshman year. And it was the sophomore year that Ginny and Christy meet each other. Thanks to Daniela. And I first meet Christy early in his junior year. I remember it well. It was at the Tate Center, early September. Tim was there for the weekend for a football game. And my first impressions were that this is a really special guy. He was well-spoken and he was talented. He was in the UGA chorus with Ginny, right? So I'm going up to Ann and I are going up to the concerts together, watching them start to meet a wonderful family. Rick and Kitty, Brenda and Antonio. And then after that, you know, Christy has made a real effort to meet our family also. He has been to West Virginia. He has, West Virginia, all right. He went there for my aunt's 90th birthday, and it is so nice to have Sherry, my cousin, and Mike, her husband, here tonight. He's also visited Ben and Mary D. at the farm in Waynesboro, Georgia. And he's also met all my family in Kentucky, and they are all passionate UK Wildcat fans, especially Susan. Susan, Ted, Karen and Jim, and John and Kim. And now I am honored to be able to introduce our wonderful daughter and our very fine son-in-law, Mr. and Mrs. Christy Richter Sanborn.
Hi, everybody. I hope you can hear me. I've been enjoying the pre-wedding festivities a little too much, and I've lost my voice. So, can you hear me? Okay. I'm Daniela. I'm the matron of honor, and standing beside me is Jessica because she loves Ginny every bit as much as I do, but she does not love public speaking. So she's going to be my moral support. So, I have known Ginny, if you can believe it, longer than she has been with Christy. And when I first met her, she was a Hanson the band, sweater vest wearing, chorus geek. And I was every bit as cool as she was, except that I liked Third Eye Blind. And I was in the band, and I did own a sweater vest, but I wore it like one time for our friendship pictures. And I wish I could show that to all of you because it is a hilarious picture. She's been part of my life for so long that I honestly can't even really remember like how we became friends or what, like when we met. We just became friends, and she has been one of my deepest and longest lasting friendships. So we used to have lots of sleepovers, and we were best friends back in the days of AOL Instant Messenger, before Facebook and smartphones. And I used to always talk late into the night with Glitzy Girl 32. And just so you know, it was Glitzy G-U-R-L, not G-I-R-L, because she was edgy like that. And when we wrote notes to each other in school, because I don't know if kids still do that, but we did, we would sign it Lilas, love you like a sister, and even Lila Twin, which was love you like a twin, because we were together so much people thought that we were twins. And actually last night somebody thought I was Ginny, so I guess it continues. But we also shared a lot of the same values and goals, and we were both goody-goodies. We really cared a lot about doing well in school. We both had really involved, loving parents. And I went on family vacations with them, went on cruises, and that was so fun. And actually, I mean, I knew her even before she liked Georgia football, if you can believe that. She loved sports, but Georgia football came later. And we also just love food. So even to this day, even though we're totally different than we were in 7th grade, we bond over like really good ranch dressing. And when we lived in Brumby together that first year, I had a food processor that was like straight out of 1979, and we would make salsa together. Like we were on the meal plan, but we would still make salsa because it was that important. And going back to when we were in Brumby, we'd been friends in middle school and high school, and when we both got accepted, it was kind of just a given that we would live together. And I'll never forget that day that our parents went to leave, and we closed the door and we just like sobbed together because we were so excited to be in college, obviously, but we knew we were going to miss our families, and we knew that we didn't know what college was going to be like for us. But you know what? We both really found things that we were passionate about, things that we wanted to pursue. And for me, one of those things was that I wanted to become fluent in Spanish. My mom is from Chile, but I didn't actually speak Spanish until I was in college. So getting a degree in Spanish meant that I had to take some linguistics courses. And in one of those linguistics courses taught by Gert Gutenberg, I will never forget, I met Christy. And actually, he introduced himself as Chris at the time, and I was like... But I had noticed him. He lived in the same dorm as Ginny and I. This was our sophomore year. We were in O House. And I knew that he was, funny and energetic and outgoing. And I remember Ginny had even said, like, he's pretty cute for a redhead. So after Facebook stalking him a little bit, I was like, they would be such a cute couple. And me meeting him kind of opened the door for them meeting, but then, as you already heard, they were in the university chorus together, and the rest is just history. A long history, but a beautiful history. And Christy, I just want to tell you thank you for loving my best friend the way she deserves to be loved. I love that you guys don't limit each other's passions. You celebrate each other for what you are, but you still have your own interests, and that's very important, I think. And you've taken time to really, 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 really get to know each other. So Mike and I have been married less than 10 years, so I'm not exactly a marriage guru. But my own love story has involved a lot of long distance and long-term dating, just like y'all's has. And I know it's been a long road for y'all to get here, but I think that any relationship that is strong enough to get through all the distance and the life changes that y'all have already been through is strong enough to get through anything. And I just want you to know that, and I think you already do know this, that love is more than just a feeling. It's a choice that you make every day. Even when you're stressed out or tired or you feel more like a dairy cow than a human, shout out Andrea, with your newborn. Every day you have to wake up and you have to choose to love each other and to honor that commitment that you've made to each other no matter what obstacles life has thrown at you. So far from what I've seen in your relationship, you've definitely done that. And I hope that continues forever and ever, because really the only perfect marriage is just two imperfect people who refuse to give up on each other. And I think you guys have what it takes to do that. So I just wanted to say, you're surrounded by so many people who love you and who've watched you grow and want the best for you guys. And I want you to know that we'll be here with you in the happy times like today, but also in any sad times that might come your way. And I want to thank you guys so much for allowing me to be the matron of honor and Jessica the maid of honor. And I've been so excited to stand up with you for tonight. And I hope for all the future life events that are coming. And please say there will be babies. But I love you both so much. And I'm so honored to be here. And I am so happy that this speech is now over. So Ginny and Christy.
I can't believe that Christy ever went by Chris. That's news to me. One of the things that I tell people about Christy is like, yeah, his name is Christy, I get it, but like he's a 6'3" ginger and just owns it. So never thought that he went by Chris. All right, so I'm Tim Kirkpatrick. For those of you who don't know me, I have the honor of being Christy's best man. I moved to New York in 8th grade and was lucky enough to move in about a 7-iron away from Christy's house. We immediately connected on sports, music, video games, and whatever else we cared about back in 8th grade. I'm not sure what that was. But, and then our friendship continued to grow in high school when we joined the golf team and were introduced to beer. Well, our drink of choice was actually Bacardi Raz back then. It's a little embarrassing. I'm standing up here as a grown man telling that to 150 people, but I felt like being honest with you all tonight. So throughout our 18-year friendship, Christy and I have been with each other through some huge moments in each other's life. I was actually playing wingman for Christy when he met Ginny's parents for the first time, like Tom said earlier. And Ginny and Christy were nice enough to let us in on their engagement at the Greenbrier, which was an amazing experience. Ginny thought we were going back into the room to get an extra pair of contacts before a round of golf, but we were just sneaking up to the balcony to be the photographer during the proposal in the gardens below. It was an amazing day, so thanks for letting us in on that. Christy was also, I have to thank him for being my wingman back in 2004. I met my wife on spring break down in South Beach, Miami. And you know, my Scottish complexion, Christy is the only one that really makes me look like a bronze god standing next to him. So I gotta thank you for that. If it wasn't for that, I don't know if I ever would have picked up Kirsten on the beach that day. So appreciate it. So throughout the years, I've had the pleasure of hanging out with his college friends from several trips down to Athens, and meeting his Jacksonville buddies on a couple of trips down to Florida. So as you all know, every friend in a group has a specific role they typically fill. There is the really intense sports fan, the king of peer pressure, the wild card, the one that keeps everyone out of trouble, and the glue that keeps it all together. Christy is actually a little bit of all of these things. I know the one that you're going to think about is Christy keeping everyone out of trouble. That doesn't really make much sense, but bear with me, we'll get there. I tell you it does. All right, so let's break it down. Christy as the way too intense sports fan. This one's pretty cut and dry. We all know that Christy is a rabid UGA fan, and Ginny, you are an enabler. Yeah, safe to say that both of you are in the 99th percentile of fandom for UGA football. One of my favorite stories of Christy and Ginny in UGA football came at the last wedding we were at, Steve and Allie's. Christy and Ginny had his phone propped up when they were streaming the Georgia game, which is no big deal. I've been guilty of doing that at weddings. This is probably the reason why you chose a spring date instead of a fall date, right? So it was the third quarter, and Georgia scored a touchdown to go up 31-3 over Mississippi State. 31-3. This game was over. The next set of downs, Georgia sacks Mississippi State. They go 3 and out. Christy and Ginny get up out of their chairs, move about 10 feet apart from each other, and do a running chest bump in the middle of the wedding. Like they were in on the sack themselves, and that was the reason why Georgia was able to do that. And I would say that most of our friends are pretty intense sports fans, but running chest bumps at weddings in heels and a dress and a suit is just next level. So I love that about both of you guys. All right, so Christy, the master of peer pressure. This one's pretty obvious too. I'm sure there are plenty of people in this room who fell victim to, come on man, just one more beer. Just to find yourself wide awake hours later, laughing hysterically to whatever's going on. Now, I could be alone in my stance here, but I see Christy's ability to peer pressure someone as a positive, not a negative. Christy has the ability to get his friends to let loose and enjoy the moment. We all have a tendency to take life too seriously. Sometimes we just need a little push from a good friend. All right, so Christy is the wild card. I had a difficult time narrowing this one down because you never know which Christy you're going to get on a given day. But one of my favorites is from the golf team in high school. Sometimes you would get a Christy that was focused and would shoot somewhere in the low 40s, which was his average. And other times, just a different Christy would show up. In this particular story, other Christy definitely showed up. So 4 of the matches were finished, and we were all square with the other team, anxiously waiting on the two matches that were left on the course. We see his group get to the tee and hit, but no one ever saw Christy tee off. Then, instead of going to his ball, Christy just beelines it down the fairway, past the green, right to us on the patio. Hey, Christy, what are you doing? How'd you do in the match today? Did you already win? And he goes, nope. I was going to shoot somewhere in the 60s, so I just took all my balls, dumped it in the lake, and took the DQ. It's like, I'm not letting that score get posted in the paper tomorrow. Like people were actually reading the paper, like checking on our golf scores. But, we had high hopes for that. Regardless, I don't think anyone before or after in New York State golf history has ever done that. All right, so Christy is the one that keeps everyone out of trouble. I know this one really didn't make sense initially. It sounds weird now that I said it out loud, but it does make sense. Christy and trouble go together like peanut butter and jelly, but I think the difference is that whenever you get in trouble with Christy, he's going to be the first one to stand up. He's going to be the first one to talk everybody out of it, and he would just never let something happen to a friend. He would rather take the heat and work it out himself versus ever letting you take a fall for anything. And I think that's an amazing trait, and you're one of the most loyal guys I've ever met in my life. So Christy as the glue that holds friends groups together. So you can take a look around the room here and see this one for yourselves. We have a ton of our friends from high school back there at classic table 1 and 2. Yeah. Hopefully they're not offending anyone yet, but I'm sure that'll come on the dance floor. We also have a great crew up here from Jacksonville and college friends who came down from Boston and even as far as Australia, which is pretty amazing. So as you go through life and people move apart, it's really easy to fall out of touch. But Christy is always the one to make the effort and to remain part of your life. That effort is contagious. It kind of trickles down. When you see people that make the effort like that, you then want to make the effort to someone else, and next thing you know, everyone's staying in contact, and kind of that chain reaction that Christy started helps these different friend groups stay together, which is amazing. But even looking back at all my favorite Christy stories, my favorite goes back to the story of Christy and Ginny's engagement that I talked briefly about earlier. So you already know how they got engaged, but you might not know what happened after. So after the engagement, we came running downstairs, popped a bottle of champagne. There were hugs, tears, congratulations in the garden. A lot of people would have wanted to go back inside, kind of figure out what's next, but not Christy and Ginny. They wanted to enjoy this moment because they know it was never going to happen again. So we hopped on the shuttle, headed to the course as originally planned. The next thing we knew, we were standing out on the driving range, warming up, obviously drinking straight out of a bottle of champagne at one of the nicest courses in America. Nick Faldo was putting out on the 18th green about 100 yards from us while we were pulling champagne, which was, I'm sure, a different scene for Greenbrier. We definitely got some strange looks from your stuffy golf crowd, but those questionable looks turned to congratulatory smiles as soon as Christy or Ginny would chime in with, "Oh, it's cool, we're celebrating. We just got engaged 15 minutes ago." Once hearing that, everyone would beam with excitement and give their congratulations. Looking back, that day sums up Christy and Ginny perfectly. When they get excited, whether it's for something as major as an engagement or as simple as spending a long weekend with some old friends, it's contagious. They both do an amazing job of enjoying the moment, staying in the moment for as long as possible. So let's raise a glass to Christy and Ginny. May your excitement for each other, life, and the dogs never fade.